This podcast contains content not suitable to children or those with sensitive ears. Listener discretion is advised.
Hold on to your hats. This could be interesting.
My first question is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do I sing? I'm going to go with not very well. I'd say at best a 3. I am a musician, as you can tell from my background, or all the stuff in the back of the room.
Yeah.
But singing is something that I've never been great at.
Yeah, I'm not a very confident singer. People tell me that I'm pretty good at singing, but yeah. I don't believe them, so I tend not to sing.
I'd try. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on?
Yeah. Let me grab the next one. Yeah, so let's go 500.
I see. Okay. What am I most thankful for? Oh, that's an odd question.
Reasonably apt, given that it's just been Thanksgiving.
Is that a holiday you guys celebrate in New Zealand?
No, just an American thing. Yeah,
I wouldn't think so.
Tends to kind of permeate into our culture, though.
I'm thankful for consciousness. I think that's the best answer I can give.
Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable answer. What am I thankful for? Being able to do this kind of podcasting stuff, because this is a lot of fun, and I get to play with lots of cool toys and talk to interesting people that I've never met before.
A good point. I'm actually trying to get my own started, and was hoping this would be good practice for that.
Okay, nice. What topic are you planning?
Guitars. I'm a big gearhead. I'm studying to be an electrical engineer, and I like all the little ins and outs, and I think we can have some interesting conversations.
Oh, how cool.
Well,
it sounds good.
We'll see.
I have lots of gear, but I've kind of just taught myself how to use it rather than have any kind of formal training.
Yeah, same here, actually. I still need to conquer how to properly use a DAW, for instance.
All right, yeah. I find that Reaper's pretty good.
That's what I'm using. It's free.
Yeah, well, it's free if you ignore the trial warnings.
Well, that's what I meant by the quotation marks. It's free.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Your turn to pick a category.
I see how this works. Okay. If you were forced to give up on one of your 5 senses, which one would you choose and why? You want to go first?
Yeah. So if you pick the category, I'll answer first. I can tell you that it wouldn't be my sight. I think that would be the one that would make you the most dependent on other people. Because you're not being able to see. Because if you go deaf, you kind of still have most of your, you can still do most things, apart from podcasting, which would be a shame.
At least you could keep that going.
Yeah. I'd probably be doing a lot more of it if I couldn't see.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of the other 3.
Well, I don't know how you'd give up touch without cutting off your arms and legs, and even then, I guess you'd have to be paralyzed completely. But in that case, would you still be able to move? I don't know.
Yeah, and then taste would make things very boring.
Actually, that would be my choice.
I guess it would mean that you could eat anything.
Yeah, and it would be really simple to keep yourself thin. You wouldn't be tantalized by all of these sweet foods and everything.
Yeah, true. You wouldn't have a favorite food anymore. Though I think there's still some foods I wouldn't be able to eat because the texture of some foods like pumpkin just makes me want to throw up.
Well, I don't know. Like the slimy, the gunkiness inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I do like a good pumpkin seed, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, not actual pumpkin. No, thank you. Someone bought pumpkin pie into work the other day, and I went, as curious as I am, I'm good.
That's a nice traditional Thanksgiving dessert.
Yeah, that's why they did it. I think they were their wife or something was American, so they're like, let's do something American for the Kiwis. Yeah, so I still have no idea what it tastes like.
Have you guys legalized gardens yet in New Zealand? That's my Reddit knowledge right there.
Oh, that is so amazing. Because it made the national news in New Zealand.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you can get us to believe anything, apparently.
Yeah, no, gardening is still illegal in New Zealand.
Well, that's a shame. Cuts down on pumpkins, though.
Yeah, what a shame. No, then no pumpkin seeds either, so maybe not such a good thing. All right.
Next question.
Yeah, go ahead and pick a category.
I just did.
Oh, you did. I am so bad at keeping track of who picked.
Yeah, it's almost like you're not even running this show.
Thanks for that. 100. How far in advance do you prefer to plan and why?
Well, that would depend on what I am planning. Am I planning a quick picnic or am I planning to build a bridge? I think it depends on the situation. I would say an adequate amount.
Yeah, I tend to probably not plan enough for things that need planning. I underplan, especially if I'm writing software or doing something like that. I'll tend to underplan.
When you're in school, when you're young, and they make you do those planning sheets for when you're going to write a paper, for instance. So you have to like plot out the entire story in advance. I always hated those. I feel like you're much better off just off the cusp.
Yeah, absolutely. That's everything I do, I just tend to go, oh, this is really exciting. Let's jump in and just do it. And then I have to take a step back and go, now I'm stuck. So now I have to redo all this stuff. So maybe I should have just planned.
Yeah, but it's more fun the other way around.
Oh, I totally agree. Especially when you spend ages planning and then you're like, oh, well, now I'm not quite so interested in doing it because I've spent all this time doing boring stuff. Oh, that's what tends to happen to me anyway.
Well, I mean, this took some planning, right? You had to send out some invites. You had to set up this webpage. Huh?
Yeah, I've been kind of overwhelmed by invites from people on Reddit.
Can I ask how many people you've interviewed so far?
You are number 15.
Wow.
And from Reddit, you're actually number 1 from Reddit, but I've got 12 people from Reddit over the next 2 weeks.
Where are you pulling most of your interviewees from?
Mostly so far it's been people that I've known, friends online and things like that. So yeah, the next step was Reddit to, start branching out a bit.
Reddit's a pretty amazing resource if you use it correctly.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of terrible things on there, but there's more amazing things, I think.
Yes, I've been kind of half watching the Donald subreddit with interest.
I switch over there once in a while too, just to see what's going on. I usually keep my nose out of politics, but this one has been particularly interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get away from talking about Trump.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I don't know. I don't vote, so what do I care?
Yeah, we have an American couple that run a Tex-Mex store, like restaurant in here, and they've got a sign up saying, "No, we will not talk about the election."
Has the election happened there yet? Is that I can't remember how far back behind you guys are.
Not that far.
Okay, good.
You got me there a second, and we're actually ahead of you.
Yeah, well, we fell for the whole gardening thing. Who knows, right?
Yeah, it's 10 almost 10:30 p.m. on Friday here, and it's 5 a.m. on Thursday for you.
4:20. Yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
are you doing up so early?
Oh, I actually work nights. I work in a semiconductor
Ah,
factory, and it's a 24-hour schedule.
right.
And so I work nights. I just stay up all night on my days off.
All right. So then you don't end up messing up your sleep.
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of an issue with the family, but
Yeah,
you do
and
what you can.
getting out and running errands and things might be a bit difficult too, is it?
It's ridiculous. If I have to go to the DMV, for instance, which is the place where you get your license and stuff here in the
Yeah.
States. Um, yeah, I have to plan my whole day around it. Oh, I've got to be up at noon. I better make sure I stay up the entire night before and
Yeah.
take a little nap. But it's ridiculous. But yeah, they take good care of us. So,
Oh, good. All right.
next question.
Yep.
I'm gonna click the controversial one. See what happens. All right. If the world contained no religion, how might things be different?
I can think of two things. One is that there'd be a lot less controversy and, all that kind of thing. You wouldn't have everyone complaining about it, though. I'm sure they'd probably find something else to argue about if it wasn't religion.
That's true.
But I
Like on
think,
race or something.
yeah, absolutely. But I think it would also probably make the world a worse place because it gives people something, gives people hope, gives people something to believe in, and the community aspect that tends to form around religion as well makes a big difference in a lot of people's lives.
I can see that point of view. Absolutely. Um, so I think with early civilization, religion was very important. I think it let people work together towards a common goal, and it helped explain unexplainable questions at the time. But as we move closer and closer to a more modernized world, I feel like we could mostly do without. Um, but it's going to be there's going to be a hell of a transitional phase there. I think. I do think, given enough time, the world might actually abandon religion altogether. But like I said, it's going to be a very long time.
Yeah, well, the trend's really started already. At less people attending organized religion, and the age, or the average age of the people that are attending is often quite a bit older than it used to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely see where that's happening. But yeah,
I will admit, though, despite being like a person of no faith, I really admire people who can join a community like a local church. I think that's important, that idea of community. And that's kind of hard to do in a non-religious way, not unless you're like willing to hang out at the at like community events and that kind of thing. But it is nice when people can get together and have a common view. I just wish it wasn't such an archaic common view, if you know what I mean.
yeah. There's as a at school, it's a little bit easier, but as an adult, it's really hard to find community if you're not part of religion.
Hmm. Even at school in New
At
Zealand.
at school, it's easier, I think.
Mm.
As a child, you find it easier, but once you grow up and leave school, it's hard to find communities, hard to make friends, all that kind of thing.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, so religion does make a difference, but yeah, I'm not sure if I can imagine a world without religion. I think it's going to
Uh,
take a long time.
what was that guy who tried? Lennon? Was that his name? John? Imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Those are pretty solid answers. Next question.
yeah. Start a question. What is your favorite ice cream brand and flavor?
Ah. I don't know if you folks have this over there, but here in the States we have a big brand called Ben and Jerry's.
No,
You
we
familiar with
don't.
that? No? It came out of Vermont, and it started off as a real hippie brand. Small, like small family-owned business or friend-owned business or something like
Yeah.
that. And really good, delicious ice cream full of all sorts of, I don't know, whatever you can think of. And they have stupid names for them too, like Cherry Garcia or Chunky
Oh,
Monkey.
wow. Yeah.
And they're usually packed full of toppings. However, they did get bought out by a giant corporation, so the hippie aspect is gone. The ice cream's still good though.
Yeah.
What about you?
Not a brand specifically, but I enjoy coffee flavored ice cream.
Mm,
I can't drink coffee. I hate coffee. Like, you give me a hot coffee and I just will not drink it because I can't stand it. But um,
It's empty too, right? I'd be having a cup right now.
yeah, but coffee ice cream, coffee lollies, tiramisu, all that kind of thing. Love it.
Coffee lollies?
Yeah.
What is that?
Coffee sweets, like sugary kind of treats.
Oh,
Yeah.
like chocolate candy. I see. Or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, coffee
Yeah.
candy.
Coffee candy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's like, what word am I supposed to use to get you to understand?
No, I like this. I like hearing like local colloquialisms.
Yeah. Just, the different words that we use because we're obviously kind of closer to the British English than the American English.
You know what's funny is before the interview, I knew you were from New Zealand, and I was curious if you were going to have like that what I consider to be an Australian accent.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, it sounds like you do.
Oh no.
Do you think you can like? Is it obvious to you like the Australian accent? Can you hear a difference?
Yes, absolutely. It's
Really?
a massive difference.
Am I the first American on the show so far?
No.
Okay, well that's less exciting.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Accents are very interesting. But yeah, no. When you hear, even when New Zealanders hear a New Zealand accent on a movie or something, it sounds ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, it's really well. I guess when you put them alongside, American actors and things like that, it really stands out. But
Do you
yeah,
guys have a like a large Hollywood-esque complex there at all, or do you guys make a lot of your own films?
we make a reasonable amount, but they're
Huh?
all very New Zealand. It's not like Hollywood where you have movies that are set all over the world. If there's a movie coming out in New Zealand, it's set in New Zealand most of the time, and it's all the culture and everything comes through very strongly.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know like when a movie's released here, it dominates the world sometimes.
Yeah.
So and I've never seen like a New Zealand film reach our shores, for instance.
Yeah, no, there's probably a few that have, but you're more likely to see them at kind of the more boutique kind of movie theaters rather than the big mainstream ones.
The indie film centers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're usually pretty big here. Like you'll see them at the big movie theaters, but yeah, I don't know how far they go around the world.
Mm.
Budgets are definitely a lot smaller.
It's not always a bad thing.
No,
I don't know if you're familiar with the director Michael Bay, for instance. He has
vaguely.
these Transformers films, for instance.
Yeah.
And they usually give him a huge budget, and he spends it all on things exploding.
Yeah,
Which is,
which is
I
great.
feel like that money could. Yeah, I like when things explode, but
There's better
let's
ways
pull it
to
back a
spend
little
it.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next question.
Yeah.
First All right. When did you get your first traffic ticket?
I've only ever had 2 traffic tickets in my life, which is pretty good. And they're both for speeding. And they're both speed cameras, so I've never actually been pulled over and given a ticket. They've both been, not doing too much over, like very slightly over the threshold. And yeah, that's all that I've got in the 10 years that I've been driving.
It's not too terrible. I've been driving for about 10 years myself. I'm 26 now. And I've probably gotten approximately 7 for mostly speeding. I'm going to say 75% of them have been speeding. The other 25% have been, I don't know, maybe not yielding properly or taking a right-hand turn when you're not supposed to, that kind of thing. Not coming to a complete stop at a stop or a stoplight.
Yeah.
Never anything interesting though. I've never been the cause of someone else's bad day.
Oh, that's good.
What's a traffic ticket normally cost in New Zealand?
Speeding tickets usually start at about 80 New Zealand for going, 11 to 20 Ks over the speed limit. So that's about $55 US.
I was just Googling I was curious. Yeah, about $56. So to give you an idea, I live in New York now, but I used to live in California, and I got a speeding ticket there for going, I want to say maybe 10 miles over the speed limit, so nothing ridiculous. And it was $900 US,
Whoa.
which translates to 1,260 New Zealand dollars.
Wow.
And fuck that. That's all I have to say.
That's
it was on a
huge.
motorcycle too, so yeah, they are very strict there.
Wow. Yeah,
You got to pay for Hollywood somehow, right?
Yeah, so that would have been $50, $60. Yeah,
That's what it should be. That's reasonable.
and like if you stay too long at a park or something like that, like park your car, it's starts at $12 New Zealand for being 10 or 30 minutes over kind of thing.
I've actually never gotten a parking ticket. That's not entirely true, but I've never gotten a parking ticket because I've never really lived in a congested city.
Right.
However, when I was in the Navy, we were stationed in Chicago for a few years, and I had a car there. Which, by the way, having a car when you're stationed on a base is like having a car when you're in high school, because you're part of the minority. So
yeah.
So anyway, I had my car and I parked it in a thrift store parking lot, and there's a big sign in that parking lot that says, "Do not park here unless you're going to the thrift store."
Right. Yeah.
Paraphrasing, but you get the idea.
Mm.
And my girlfriend and I at the time were like, well, we want to go over there and eat. Who cares? What are they going to do? We'll be an hour. So we park at the thrift store parking lot, walk over to the breakfast place. And I got nervous and I went out for a cigarette and I went over and checked on my car. And lo and behold, there was a fucking boot on my car and a guy standing there with a ledger. And this is what gets me the most. This is not the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
This is that thrift store hired a guy to sit in a car in that parking lot and wait for people to park. Wow. And then when they leave, he puts a boot on your car. And here I am. I have to give this guy my credit card number for, I don't know, $300 or some nonsense to get this boot off my car.
Wow.
That was the most ridiculous thing ever. I did get free parking for the rest of the day, though. As in free, I paid $300 for it.
Yeah.
But
ouch.
It's terrible. Don't if it says don't park somewhere, expect some dark shadowy figure with a boot hiding around the corner. Be aware.
Yeah, the private parking's the worst. The fees that you get charged for overstaying or parking in a reserved park are just ridiculous.
I don't understand how that's legal. I really don't. I feel like it's just too egregious.
Yeah, if you can be bothered fighting it, more often than not, you'll probably get away with not actually paying the fine, but it's a lot of work to get out of it.
I mean, the guy was like, what was I going to do? I couldn't leave. I don't know. They've got a good system going on.
Yeah.
All right. You want to select the next one?
Yeah. 1,000 then. On a scale from 1 to 10, how happy do you usually feel, and explain?
I like to keep myself at an optimistic 6. I feel like that's a good place to be. Because you don't want to be at a 10 all the time because you'll get burned out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're at a 1, who cares? Who wants to hang out with that guy who's a 1 all the time? I like to be just a little above the midway. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, being more than a 6 sounds exhausting. Like it's great some of the time. If something really amazing happens, then being a 10 is fantastic. But doing it all the time, you just get burned out. I don't think I could do that. And then under say 4, you're having a bad day, and you don't really want to be there either. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no one wants to hang out with a 4 all the time.
No. So I'm the kind of person that will find the 4 or the 1 and, do my best to cheer them up and bring them back up to the 6 that they should be.
Yeah, I was like that.
I'm not sure where the numbers went from that question.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like the wording was off.
On a scale from 2, how happy do you usually feel?
So I've got to ask how this numbering system here works at the top. The 100 fathoms, is that just 100 different questions, whereas 500 fathoms is just
Fathoms is a bit of a play on the measurement they use for the depth of
Oh,
the ocean. Yeah.
I see. So
So,
how deep are the
yeah,
questions?
exactly.
It's the gears are turning. I get it. I get it. That's clever. I like it.
Yeah, and then I've pulled religion and spirituality out because there's some people that just refuse to talk about it.
Eh, try to keep an open mind.
Yeah, no, that's good. All right.
We'll go for 1,000.
Sure.
You guys know who Alex Trebek is? Is that common over there?
No.
No, Jeopardy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If accumulation of money doesn't bring lasting happiness, what does?
Yeah, money doesn't. Well, money up to a point brings happiness, but then once you get past that point, it's like everyone just wants your money, so that's no fun. I think finding your purpose and actually being able to do whatever that purpose is a pretty good way to be fulfilled and feel happy. Yeah, a lot of people say that money can't buy happiness, and I kind of disagree with that because money to a certain point can buy happiness if you have no money. For example, if you're, homeless or living like super on the bottom line and you suddenly win $100 million, well, that's definitely going to improve your quality of life.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I see what you're saying. Like you obviously need a midline. You're only going to once you pass that point, you're only going to be so much happier, right?
Yeah, there's only so many things and so many trips you can go on, and I would get bored if I wasn't working.
I've thought about this often, and I've decided that what I need is a really labor intensive job. One where I go to work and I sweat and I become completely exasperated by the end of the day. However, I only have to go to work 1 day a week, so I can
Right.
appreciate the rest of my week. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, I think about that now because I've recently come into a position where I'm making a more money than I'm used to making, and I've noticed that myself. Like I thought that this amount of money would bring me X amount of happiness, and I see now that I'm only so happy even though I have more disposable income than I'm used to. You can only buy so much crap you don't need.
Yeah, there's only so much room in your house to buy things.
I guess that's gets amplified when you have more money because then you can just buy more houses for more things, right?
Very true. Eventually, you're gonna, have more stuff than you can ever use. It's like people that have unlimited internet plans and they download a couple of terabytes a month, and you go, well, how do you ever have time to watch all the stuff you're downloading? You don't.
What's funny is I get that way with my Wi-Fi connection on my cell phone. The data rates here are ridiculously high. And anytime my cell phone's connected to Wi-Fi, I'm like, oh, I need to download as much as I can right now. And you usually never end up needing any of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how many podcasts can you preload?
Yeah, I think I have 155 unplayed podcasts at the moment.
I feel like I should ask, what is the name of your podcast? I want to look it up.
This one?
Yeah.
It was in the Reddit post.
Well, I believe you, but I saw, hey, I need some jackass to interview, and I was like, I'll do that.
You're putting a lot of trust in me to.
Hey, I've got an off button. You'd have to try pretty hard to actually offend me.
Yeah, so this could be interesting. TCBI.nz. I will send you a link when I post your podcast as well.
Absolutely awesome. Am I world famous yet?
Maybe one day when I get some world famous people on the podcast and people will go back and listen to you as well.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Want to try another question?
Yeah.
I believe it's your turn.
Let's go for a starter question, something easy. How many different conversations can you adequately carry on at the same time?
Adequately?
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
0.5. 0.75 if I'm really having a good day.
Yeah, I find that, like text-based communication makes it easier to carry on multiple conversations because you don't have to remember what you've said. You can kind of scroll back and go,
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
that's what
that's
I
true.
said. But yeah, like in-person conversations, you'd be pretty magic if you could carry on more than one at the same time.
Hey, basically just spinning around in a circle, yelling at people at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Like 5 conversations at a time, and you're like saying one word at a time around in a circle.
I guess that's adequate, depending on the situation.
Yeah. Yeah,
If you're
online.
selling ice cream, for instance.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's an interesting point. You have some stores you go to where they might be serving 3 people at once, or taking an order from someone and taking money from another person, and yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. I'm not sure if those are they conversations though, when you're just ordering food
They're
or
at
something.
least interactions.
Yeah, that's probably a better word for it.
Sounds semantical.
Yes. Yeah, maybe just a little. All right.
Oh, my turn.
Yeah.
Let's see what religion has to offer. Do you believe it is possible to encounter God in a personal way? Why or why not?
So I should preface this with the fact that I am Catholic.
Okay, that's fine.
So that
I'll allow it.
Why, thank you. So that most definitely defines my answer, but and that I guess maybe not a God in that word, but maybe Jesus, and we go to mass and have that I guess that kind of personal encounter with God when we have communion and everything like that. But then God and Jesus being the same person, well, from our perspective as well. So yeah, again, lots of semantics, but the short answer, yes, because that's what was believed when we receive communion, is that we're actually having that encounter.
Let's see. That's an interesting way to go about it. I've always had issues with. I'm not too familiar with the Catholic Mass or the Catholic religion in general, but I do see like some things from the outside, and I've always thought it was I don't mean to be offensive, but an odd ritual with the wafer and the wine. Correct?
Yeah, yeah.
I never fully understood it, but I've also never experienced it, so I could imagine how that could be a really personal experience.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we could spend the next hour with me explaining it, but I don't think that would be particularly constructive.
That's fair. I would answer this question by saying I would have issues defining God in general, higher power, that kind of thing. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
hard thing to, put words at. So I'm going to go with maybe. I'm going to take the agnostic stance on this one.
And you'll believe it if and when it happens. If or when it happens.
Yes. Yeah, fair enough. Next question.
All right. 500. Who was your favorite teacher growing up, and what did you most like about him or her?
What do you got? Oh, you're asking me. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I was in band class, and band for us was different than you might think. It was where all of the dirty-minded, horny teenagers hung out, and I had a lot of awesome experiences in band class. From first kiss to first, you name it, happened in band class. And the teacher of this class, his name was Mr. Hoffman, and he was a really funny guy, and I really thought that he was really fun and interesting, and let us explore. He was really liberal and open-minded, that kind of thing. And I always thought that because of him is what made our class so much fun. Now, 5 years later or so, I saw a newspaper, and apparently he got caught boinking one of the 17-year-old students.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I had to reframe I had to, I don't know, skew the nostalgia, I guess you could say. of what I thought back then. But yeah, I had fun, So that's all I can say. 17's shady, though. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Either way, great class. Had a lot of fun. How about you?
For me, it's probably my I've got a couple of options. The first one is my last year of primary school. So I would have been 8 or 9, maybe 10. And it was the first teacher that I really behaved for, I guess. I had ADHD, so it was, behavioral problems and all that kind of stuff, which wasn't my fault. But she was the first teacher that really got, good work out of me, and the first teacher I actually enjoyed having. So that was nice.
It's good to find that first mentor that understands you.
Yeah. And then in high school, the head of IT, who really nurtured my interest in IT and pretty much got me to where I am.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's great to find someone with a common interest that you can kind of work towards.
Yeah, and it gave me a lot of opportunities and things as well that I may not necessarily have had otherwise.
Yeah, computers are fun.
Yes. Yeah, I work in IT, the podcasting thing's just for fun.
Yeah. All of my computer knowledge comes from being a PC gamer for past 15 years.
All right, yeah.
And, bootlegging some software and learning how to get around certain things. That was the most the best learning experience I've had when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember.
Yeah, go ahead.
I remember downloading torrents off certain websites when I was younger and spending hours getting the game to work, getting it to work properly, getting past the proxies and the firewalls to actually get it loaded and updated. And you invested 10 hours into it, and then you'd never play it.
Yeah.
The fun was in the chase.
Yeah. I remember the first time I came across at that time it was a serials website, like serial numbers for shareware.
Oh.
So it wasn't even downloading torrents. It was, you download a trial and then go to this website and get a license key so you could use the full version.
They have key generators back then too?
It wasn't even a key generator. It was just a database of all these serial numbers.
I see.
Yeah. So ANDR.net. I remember that. I don't think it exists anymore.
Oh, I've got to check.
I have to check. Yeah, but I still remember that very clearly. Oh, wow. It still exists, and it still looks exactly the same.
Very sophisticated site.
The last news article was posted around the time that I used it, 2004.
Yeah, Photoshop CS2 number 8. That's 2002 era.
Yeah, not an antivirus 2006.
Wow. This is right up there with the Heaven's Gate website.
Yeah, I can't believe that it still exists. And it hasn't changed. It looks exactly the same. Looks like no one's touched it in 12 years, according to the news.
Yeah, who's paying for their domain name?
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. Who's paying for the the hosting and everything? That's crazy. Blast from the past. I haven't touched it in a long time, ever since I discovered torrents. All right.
It's my turn.
Your turn to pick, yeah.
All right. Okay. What lesson has failure taught you?
Wow. Pretty much learn everything you know from failure, don't you?
Yeah, good way to put it.
And then you can also say that it's not a failure if you learn something from it.
So therefore, there are no failures. Class dismissed.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone says to you. As long as you learn something, it's not a failure. Learn from your mistakes and all that kind of rubbish. But that's kind of what we do as humans, though, isn't it?
I wish I could organically put that word into my vocabulary. I love words like that, like rubbish, for instance.
Yeah.
That's not something I could say as an American and not get a odd look.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just completely natural for me. Yeah, I mean, rubbish or junk or crap or however you want to put it.
I watch enough Top Gear to get some of those colloquialisms.
Yeah, yeah. Though Top Gear's just not the same anymore.
Have you seen the new one on Amazon?
No, I haven't actually seen that.
They've only put out 2 episodes so far, but they stay true to their roots. It's still pretty good, and they're poking a lot of fun at the situation too. So
Excellent.
yeah, I'm sure you're like familiar with the controversy with
Clarkson. Yeah.
Clarkson. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yes, he was always kind of flying close to the wind, so I'm not surprised that he. Yeah.
No, me neither.
It had to happen eventually.
I get it though. You've been on a show for 10 years. You're the star. You get kind of a big head. I don't know the details, but yeah. Either way,
interesting.
Regardless of what they've done, very entertaining.
Yes. Well, that is kind of the point of that kind of thing, isn't it? It's entertainment.
Even my wife, who doesn't care at all about cars, watches that show with me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care that much about cars either, but it's still a really good show to watch.
Well, something I enjoy doing actually is watching old Top Gears.
Yeah.
Of like late 90s cars, for instance. And sometimes I'll get car envy because I currently drive a 2008 Impala with way too many miles. And I think like, oh, I should upgrade my car. Look at all these other awesome fancy cars on the market. And I'll watch one of these older episodes. I think it's pretty obvious I'm not a car guy either based on the way I'm talking about this. But anyway, I'll watch some of these older episodes and think, you know what? That was the hot shit at the time.
Yeah.
And
it'd be so cool to have now as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I'm talking about like their consumer grade cars that they interview that they review.
Yeah.
And you realize like, oh, that's just that piece of shit Honda that I saw driving down the road an hour ago. They're not that great. All cars age,
Yeah,
don't feel the need to keep up with it.
Yeah, yeah, they were all brand new back in the 90s, and now they're just really not.
No. And you can apply that to the ones today too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Final question.
Okay.
It was whose pick was that now?
I believe it was yours.
All right.
I could be wrong.
We'll wrap it up with a starter question.
Okay.
Who's your favorite comedian?
I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I would say probably Joe Rogan. I listen to his podcast quite often.
Yeah.
He's got a really good insight on some things. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but definitely like his brand of humor. How about yourself?
I kind of have to say Ed Byrne by default because he let me propose to my fiance at one of his shows.
Oh, that's awesome.
Got up on stage and he kind of worked it into his act.
I don't know if I'm familiar with him. We'll have to check out some of his stand-up later.
Yeah, I really enjoy British comedy, so we watch a lot of the British TV shows and everything like that. And yeah, he came to New Zealand a while back and I managed to get him to, kind of work it into the show. So he comes out at the second act and points out my empty chair and gets the crowd to call out for me. And then I come out on stage and do my thing.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was pretty cool. Like he just handed the microphone over to me and then went and sat down in the audience.
I assume she said yes?
She did. We get married in a little over a month.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and a little bit in the dog box tonight for doing podcasting at 10 o'clock at night.
There are way worse things you could be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's us.
That's the wrap?
Yeah, that's a solid 45 minutes.
All right. Well, I definitely enjoyed this. I had a good time. I appreciate being on your show.
I appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me. It's good to actually talk to some people that I've never spoken to before because you have a different dynamic of conversation.
Yeah, plus it's always nice to see like different viewpoints from around the world, that kind of thing too.
Yeah, so pretty much all the people so far have been, from New Zealand. So it makes a big difference having someone from somewhere else.
I'm going to imagine that most of your Reddit guys are going to be from the States. I could be wrong, but I would imagine that's the major demographic on there.
Yeah, I think I've got one French guy and all the rest are American.
God damn Frenchies. No, I'm kidding. I've got lots of love for the French folks.
No, that'd be a good interview. Yeah.
All right, well, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your night, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, thank you. If you'd like to be on the show, you can go to tcbi.nz/guest form and sign up. Anybody is welcome to sign up, and I would love to talk with you. And until next time, to our listeners, add one friend to one episode of this podcast with two open minds and see where it leads. Thanks for listening.
Now that was interesting. Bye-bye.